wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn one.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at him.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Tonight, we trade the traditional oval for one of the most technical and unpredictable challenges in modern motorsport. Welcome to the Charlotte ROVAL at the legendary Charlotte Motor Speedway. First introduced in 2018, this unique hybrid circuit blends the raw speed of the high-banked oval with the precision and rhythm of a tight infield road course. Drivers must attack heavy banked zones, navigate unforgiving chicanes, and still commit to full throttle on the banking, where the walls wait for even the smallest of mistakes. Track position is everything. Strategy will be crucial, and survival may be just as important as outright pace. From the chaos of the opening laps to the pressure-filled run to the checkered flag, the Charlotte ROVAL has built a reputation for late drama and playoff-style intensity. Let's go green, folks. Joined with me in the booth tonight is going to be Brian Zinn. Brian, how are you feeling this evening? That's very true. And the camera is brought to you by TrackCams22.com. If you like what you see, make sure you check out TrackCams22. Without further delay, let's check out the championship and where we've been and where we're going. It's been Daytona, Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, Indianapolis, Nürburgring, Sandown, Barber. Now we're at Charlotte. Then we have Silverstone, Monza, and Sebring to round out the calendar. Looking at the championship points as well, things are pretty tight for the GT3s. Keon Maduro with 270, Corey Rutherford in second, Victor Aldrich in third, Daniel Miglin in fourth, Kenneth Estep in fifth, Ty Morosco in sixth, Nidek Kume in seventh, with Mike Hamlin in eighth. In the C7s, it's Christopher Hill next to Damian Dania in second, Brian Dees in third, James Watson in fourth, Travis Fleming in fifth, Joshua Rutherford in sixth, Brody Gunther and Dave Seats round out the C7 drivers. For the teams, Work in Progress is leading over Team Watson Racing, TWR SJ Division in third, MFRD in fourth, Team Fastish, ESGI Motorsport, Limitless, and JK Racing. Now, where are we racing again? Your favorite track, right, Brian? We are racing. Go ahead. Absolutely. And big shout out to our sponsor tonight, Apex Sim Racing. For all your sim racing needs and or accessories, make sure you check out Apex Sim Racing and they'll hook you up and get you to the checkered flag. Now let's take a look at some of these drivers that might be still here on track doing their best. Ty Morosco is actually the driver to be doing their very best right now. Let's see if we can check out Ty as they actually just finished their lap and conclude qualifying. Now Cole Maxwell concluding their lap. That'll be them crossing the line right there their last time around, a 1:23.03 on lap 2 of 2.
Of who's going to be starting where in our two classes.
Yes, we will check out that starting grid as well. Let's show the results for the cars in the class. As soon as that session gets completed, we'll get the qualifying results posted for us, and we'll take a look at the C7 Daytonas before we take a look at the GT3 category right after that. Now, Brian, you're going into your absolute favorite track in the planet that you described earlier so eloquently. You know, what is your favorite part about the Charlotte Roval, if you had to pick?
You know, I actually like the chicanes quite a bit. I'm not a big fan of the 2-3-4 combo, but the chicanes are real fun. Managing the how much curb to take and how close you can get to the exit wall, especially on that backstretch chicane. So it'll be interesting to see how our drivers handle it tonight. It's also one of our action spots of the night as well.
One of our action spots of the night for sure, although it's a bit dangerous to make an overtake in those zones. Christopher Hill leads Damian Dania, James Watson in third, Joshua Rutherford, Travis Fleming, and Brian Dees for the C7s. Looking at the GT3s, it'll be Ty Morosco in front of Corey Rutherford, Keon Maduro, and then Nidik Kume, Victor Aldrich, Daniel Miglin, Cole Maxwell, and Ken Estep.
Yeah, with Christopher Hill starting on pole, he had a good week last week at Barber Motorsports Park with his championship rival Damian Dania not attending that race, and so he was able to grab a lot of points, and that's reflected in our current championship standings that we saw a minute ago. But in GT3, the surprise of the evening, Ty Morosco sitting on pole ahead of two heavyweight GT3 drivers in Corey Rutherford and Keanu Maduro. Maduro, as you saw, leading the championship. Late arrival to practice. I wasn't sure he was going to show up tonight, and I'm sure Corey Rutherford was hoping he wouldn't be able to take a chunk of points out of that GT3 lead that he's got at the moment. But as you said in the opening, track position is going to be key. It's a very difficult track to pass on, especially in this infield section as our drivers start rolling out of pit lane here and making their way onto the infield ROVAL course. 15 turns in all, about half on the infield, half on the NASCAR oval section that drivers will be familiar with from the Coca-Cola 600. A lot of elevation change, although some of that's been taken away with the reprofile that was done 1 or 2 years ago near the end of the ROVAL section. So not quite as challenging from an elevation and blind corner perspective, but still just as challenging from a pace perspective. You carry a lot of speed into that hairpin, the reprofile turn 7 and turn 8, as I expect there will be a lot of passing opportunities, a lot of looks to the inside there, especially when you start getting into the multi-class traffic that we have here tonight.
Yeah, and my keys, or not keys to success for the race. Number one is don't attack into the chicanes and try to avoid the late race brake lockups. As the tires wear and the pressure increases, you could face some longer braking distance late into the stints, and you can misjudge your entry speed and flat spot your tires. That'll really kill your pace, and drivers getting poor transitions onto the ROVAL. Obviously, that's going to be one of the most critical spots to be carrying speed, and hopefully the drivers will be able to do that. And here's a wonderful shot of the grid from the Racers Nexus spotter that we have on top of the broadcast booth here at the Charlotte ROVAL in Concord, North Carolina. We flew him out. His name is Ray, and we welcome Ray to the broadcast team. Thank you very much for being out here and mustering the weather we have out here, brother.
Yeah, we stole Ray away from NASCAR Productions, who's got their home in Charlotte. We made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and so now he's up there hanging with his old pals on the spotter stand, but giving us these fantastic camera angles that we can bring you tonight.
And just absolutely love to see the colorful liveries that we have on the grid lining up the banking right now. Of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the man in third, fourth place, James Watson, right now, as he drives the Highlighter TWRS J division team as we get ready for the race start. Take us away.
It looks like we're going to bypass the final chicane. That's a very smart move. Allows for a nice clean entry down in turn one. We're going to have a drag race right off the get-go between Christopher Hill and Damian Dania, our two championship rivals. No love lost between these two. They have come to blows before, but Hill gets the better exit out of turn one with that inside start position. He's going to hold the lead going through turn four for the first time, but Dania is not letting him get away. Close in on that gearbox as they funnel down through very fast up to the right here. Turn 5 and into their new profile section in turn 6 and turn 7.
Travis Fleming alongside Brian Dees right now through this very tricky infield section. Like you said, onto the high banking now is where it's going to get tricky. Who has the better line? It looks like Dees is advancing in front of Fleming for now. Checking in with the GT3 field right behind, it will be Corey Rutherford being chased down by Keon Maduro right now, and the look into the chicane is going to present itself an opportunity to Corey Rutherford's mistake now, and Keon Maduro gets a switch back to the high side of the banking and gets in front of Rutherford.
Yeah, Rutherford had a cold tire moment there. He got in a little bit too deep, having to keep an eye on Maduro behind him there, and just had the front end grip for the second half of that chicane, and then allowed Maduro to sneak on by. And he's going to go and try and chase down his fellow Mustang stablemate, Ty Marasco, and try and stretch the gap over Rutherford, not just on track, but in the championship as well. As we saw Dania have a mistake coming out of the chicane, he's dropped a position behind that highlighter yellow car, as you so eloquently called it, of James Watson, currently running P2 as they're making their way through the infield for the second time tonight.
And let's see what happened here. Oh, this is not the one. Oh! Let's take another look at this one now, because we have to unpack what just happened. Christopher Hill and Damian Dania. Ooh, it looks like Dania just misses the corner and challenges Christopher Hill there.
Yeah, it looks like he just threw it up the inside, locked the brakes, and Hill doing a good job to avoid the impending missile that Dania turned his 98 Corvette DP into there for a minute. Well done by Hill, and he's going to be very thankful to now have a 1 second gap over Watson. Watson doing his best to keep the very fast Dania behind him in P3 and try and build off of that good race that he had in Barber. Came away as the sprint and the feature winner of that one. Good points haul for him. And Keanu Maduro, he's run down his Mustang teammate, stablemate, grandmate, whatever you want. He's all over he's all over the back of the #1 Mustang. Another colorful livery. As you said, these guys really have their livery game on point, up and down this grid. I love to see it.
It's so unique, and you gotta love that the drivers are able to, you know, stitch together a livery, customize it the way that they want, get it uploaded and shared with the entire world even. It's absolutely phenomenal. I think one driver that we have to mention right now is Corey Rutherford's beautiful livery as well in the Purple Haze Motorsports machine, number 5. It's just a dashing looking livery, and he's run it from the very start of this league. It hasn't changed it. He's got the mullet Productions logo on the side of it, and he's just representing the sponsors here. Mullet Music Productions, excuse me for getting that wrong the first time around.
Yeah, we just have to give him credit. You know, he's like Ferrari, obviously, classic reds, yellows, and even blues, but he's making purple look good on a Ferrari to the point where I think maybe they need to start offering it as an official color, because it looks really good on that 296 GT3 car. As we see a battle for the GT3 lead, Maduro is going to do it the hard way, trying to go around the outside. Very challenging to do into that high-speed turn 5 right there, but with all that paved runoff, he's going to have the room to do it. He's going to sneak in front of Ty Marasco going into turn 6 there.
All this battling side by side through the infield has brought along the likes of Corey Rutherford back into the mix. And while all that battling was taking place, or continues to take place, Damian Dania was able to get by by James Watson in that battle, and now is just about 3/10 back from Christopher Hill. Oh, completely different lines being taken by the Ford Mustangs. Challenges Ty Marasco right now, who's currently running 8th overall, but 2nd in the category. Now is being challenged by Rutherford from behind, who makes a look on the inside line going into the final chicane.
Rob's saying that I'm muted on the broadcast, just so everybody.
Rutherford in the background right now of Ty Marasco, losing touch and potentially getting a slowdown as well for track limits. Let's check in with the C7 Daytonas right now.
Yeah, Rutherford looks like he got pinged for a cut track chicane there. Looked like he had it happen again through the final chicane coming across the start finish line, but he has served that and cleared that black flag. Is Dania, who was behind Watson for a while, he's gotten around him and been unleashed to go and run downhill. Dania was talking earlier this week that he has a love-hate relationship with Charlotte. You certainly wouldn't know that based on his pace that he's gotten so far in tonight's race, would you?
No, you definitely wouldn't. You're absolutely right. He was complaining about it in the racers briefing earlier on, saying he really wasn't in love with this track. It never suited him. Always a bridesmaid, never quite the bride. A couple of different scenarios came out of his mouth, but you know, it's really looking like it is going his favor right now, which is awfully surprising tonight because we really just didn't expect it, Brian.
Yeah, I don't think we did, and as they're demonstrating right now just how hard it is to get a move done in this infield. You saw Dania had a way better run exiting turn 1 going through turn 2 and got right on the back of the 101, but just couldn't pull out to try and make a move there. And so now he's going to have to stay in the draft and try and get a move done into the first chicane or possibly into the second chicane.
Yes, sir. Dania looking pretty menacing right now. You know, and I just gotta say, I love this camera, and I want to go on board with Dania right now and check it out, because this is gonna be the look to the inside line. The crisscross applesauce doesn't quite present itself going into that final chicane, but it will soon. Dania has been a driver that has exercised a lot of discretion throughout his championship so far. He hasn't gone for the early overtakes when they were just quick and easy. He's gone for the high percentage moves most of the time, and he's waited for traffic to really come his way. Yes, we've been involved in accidents here or there previously throughout this championship, but Dania has still always been a clean driver in that 98.
Yeah, and as we saw on the onboard there going through that final chicane, he's got a skill to just get that C7 dancing on the edge. Brake lock up there, you see the wheel kind of shimmy about as the grid is right on the edge of adhesion with those tires. And as they made their way by the 66 of Ken Esteban, the gentlemen being able to get out of the way of our leaders when they come through. I just wanted to tip my hat there to the 66. But Dania, yeah, he just drives on the limit, and he knows exactly where the limit is, and doesn't step over it, as you said, very often. They have only really had that one incident, which was just hard racing. They both were very gentlemanly about it, but these two know that it's really a battle between them for the championship, and they're showing it week in and week out every time that they're here.
Yeah, they sure are, and they're keeping it clean on the tarmac, and that's what I love to see the most. It's definitely going to be a battle of attrition here at the Charlotte Roval. Christopher Hill just 2/10 in front of Dania right now, nearly separated by nothing. As you can see, Dania's nose camera pretty much already into the rear wing of Christopher Hill in that 101 out in front right now. Now a run coming down into the back chicane. Will it be enough on that high line? The forcing of the side-by-side. The change for the lead is there, but Dania cuts the chicane, and it'll be Christopher Hill back into the lead while Dania has to relinquish the time.
Yeah, Dania thought about that outside move, but that was going to be very hard to pull off, and Hill placed his car exactly where he needed to and forced Dania into a mistake there, cutting across the curbs. And he's thankful with that amount of airtime that he got that it didn't snap the car sideways, as can happen sometimes in iRacing. But kept it under him, kept it composed, and he's going to recover and launch another attack here. Hill definitely is getting beat in the brakes. It looks like you can see Dania close up so much in these heavy braking zones, especially in turn 1 and into the hairpin of turn 8. And that's where I think the biggest pace difference is between these two cars at the moment.
Really is a big pace difference between the two of them. Dania with a 1:14.5 being his best lap around versus Christopher Hill's being a 1:14.7. Now, this was a very short premier race, or heat number 1. Now have the drivers decided to use up the remaining bit of tires that they have left, as we just have 7:30 remaining in this session.
Yeah, 20-minute race has gone flying by, just about as fast as these drivers are driving, especially Hill and Dania. But yeah, with 20 minutes sprint race, they didn't really have to conserve very much. It's attack from the drop of the green flag, as we've seen up and down the grid in both classes. And so curious if they're going to be able to translate any of that into the feature race that we have coming up. Double the distance, pit stop required, all that jazz, as you are used to if you tune in any of these races so far this season. But can be a challenge to go from push to maybe I need to let off and do a little lift and coasting and get some better fuel mileage in the feature race. But for right now, though, it's all go for our drivers as we got just under 7 minutes left in the sprint race. And battles up and down the order as we see Nidikume is trying to chase down his Ferrari. Battle of the horses tonight. We got the 2 Mustangs battling and the 2 Ferraris battling. Tonight, it seems, between Maduro and Marasco, although that battle is stretched out as Maduro has proven week in and week out. Once he gets the lead, he just checks out. But now we got the Italian variety battling between Rutherford and Nidikume.
Now, I'm going to challenge you with a very difficult question, okay? Do you know what the prancing horse is called in Italian?
I'm not going to embarrass myself and try and answer that question.
It is the Cavalieri Rampanti.
Yep, never would have come close to that. I'm a Texan. My Italian is starts and stops with pasta on the dinner table.
That's fair. A man who knows where his limits lie can always respect that for sure. But these 2 Cavalieri Rampantis aren't done prancing around the Charlotte Roval here in Concord, North Carolina tonight. We have another heat coming up. A mistake from Rutherford up ahead will allow Nidikume to close down the gap and maybe get along the high side here. As soon as you get out of that slipstream, though, it's like hitting a brick wall. Kind of like the next-gen cars as well. Will Nidikume continue this challenge? Presents himself along the inside line, goes for a lazy switchback. It just doesn't quite make itself happen.
Yeah, it's really difficult to try and get a move done in that second chicane. Much harder than the backstretch chicane, I would wager. But well done to Rutherford to be able to clear the slowdown and hold the position there. That was a very skilled maneuver there. I'm sure a bit frustrating for Kume behind him. But back to the battle up front, Dania, he's refreshed and reloaded after having his own run through the chicane and the slowdown advantage. He is once again staring through the rear grills of that Corvette Daytona Prototype in front of him and wishing to change the view and make Hill have to do the steering in the back of the car instead.
Yeah, we all know the infamous saying, catching is one thing, passing is another, as we hear the tires squealing as the drivers come through turn 7 onto the banking of turn 8. Dania loses just a little bit of ground there on Hill in front, and we'll get our first bit of traffic. It'll be Daniel Midland up ahead in the 5th place spot.
Yeah, thankfully they're going to catch him on the banking of NASCAR 304 and not have any concerns passing the Acura there. Dania definitely is seems to be in a hurry. He wants to lead this race. He's making a few more mistakes than we're used to seeing out of that 98 car. But Hill, as I said earlier, he is placing his car precisely where he needs to make life extremely challenging for Dania behind him. Not doing anything egregious, just very good defensive driving. There's no blocking, no weaving, or anything like that. So I'm sure the frustration is building for Dania, but at the same time, he knows that he's got to make up some ground from missing last week's race, and that may be playing into what we're seeing out of him so far tonight.
And normally we would see him up on the driver cameras as well, but a little hidden veil tonight as he keeps his cards close to his chest, unable to see him in his driver camera. I think the closest we can get is going to be this look that we get, or maybe one of these. As we get extremely hectic traffic, and there's a big lunge over the curbs, clattering over them. That's going to be a look and a move. Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away for the 98 on this run. Now over the bridge, it'll be single file. Christopher Hill in front of Dania, and that was a good opportunity for him to get one done.
Yeah, I'd want to see the replay back because I saw Ken Estep accuse of Mike after that one. I don't think he was very appreciative of the move that Dania made there, but for Dania it's a case of, well, if Hill's going to go, I got to go too, because he does not want to get separated by these GT cars, as we see just how much they've caused issues there. And Dania, he's going to have wheel spin coming out of turn 8 there. That's going to allow Dania to close up on the back of Hill. And they're going to go side by side behind Chief Admin Corey Rutherford going into the backstretch chicane.
This is definitely what you pay to see. 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. Last lap battle. Damian Dania versus Christopher Hill. Let's throw elbows out right now as Dania puts a couple wheels onto the grass, trying to use as much of the track as he has bought and paid for tonight. He loses out ground again to Hill in front of him. It's just slinking back and forth, and we have to dodge a car on the racetrack, and that will do it. Was that Nidikume stopped there on the racetrack? It might have been.
That looked like that was the Richardson Mustang at Time Marasco there.
Yep.
He spun around somehow, and unfortunately Dania had a quick choice to make left or right. He picked right and ended up sandwiched between the Mustang and the wall. Didn't lose that much time. I'm surprised he's still that close to Hill, but definitely gives Christopher Hill a little bit of breathing room on this final lap. They did take the white flag this time by, so this will do it for our driver after about 4, maybe 5.
Just finishing things off for Christopher Hill, who's going to accept the checkered flag in just a few moments' time. It was a hard-fought battle for Hill, though, and he had to defend from the likes of James Watson, Brian Dees, and Damian Dania through the entire race. Dania taking the checkered flag in P2 with James Watson on the rest of that podium in third. Brian Dees in fourth, Joshua Rutherford and Travis Fleming will round out the C7s.
Yeah, Ty Marasco ended up getting disqualified in connection with that spin that he had. Not sure what happened there, but I suspect if we went back and looked at it, he might have driven backwards to try and get the car flipped around, and iRacing said, no, you're going to go park yourself, sir.
Ooh, unfortunate there for Ty Marasco, our actual leader for the race, having an unfortunate incident. We could take a replay of that as we see Keanu Maduro, Corey Rutherford, and Nidikume taking the checkered flag. Let's take a replay of what happened to Ty.
Yeah, it just gets in way too hot to turn one, loops it back, loops it around. Now he's facing backwards.
Oh, that'll do it.
Turn around. Now let's keep it rolling. Yep, there it is. Yep.
That'll do it.
I was going to say, you've gone too far, sir. Back to the hauler.
Let's take a gander at our results for heat number 1. Christopher Hill in front of Dania, and then James Watson in third. Brian Dees in fourth, Joshua Rutherford in fifth, Travis Fleming in sixth for the C7s. Over to Brian for the GT3s.
Yeah, Keanu Maduro walked away with this one, followed by Corey Rutherford and Nidikume, who finished second and third after that mishap for Ty Marasco. Daniel Miglin's going to come home with P4, followed by Cole Maxwell, Victor Aldrich, Ty Marasco, and Ken Estep.
Thank you very much, Brian. Those are your results for heat number 1, folks. And we'll get heat number 2 underway in just about 4 minutes' time. Brian, big takeaways from heat number 1?
Oh, boy. It's hot in Charlotte. Man, that battle between Hill and Dania, that might have been one of their closest battles they've had without actual passing happening, and that's just the nature of the track. And you know, there were several times that could have ended in tears for both of them. So hats off to both drivers for keeping cool under pressure, especially Hill leading and having to defend from Dania behind. And Dania, you know, could have sent it 4 or 5 different times that I saw personally. So exercising restraint there, realizing that it's a long season. You can't win it in one corner particularly, but you can certainly lose it. And definitely you don't want to, you know, end up on the bad side of somebody that you're battling for a championship, because that just makes things no fun. So that's my takeaway. You know, GT3, it seems like the rivalry is on between Nidakume and Corey Rutherford, the Italian stablemates. And Ty Marasco, he was having a real good showing until that one small mistake in turn 1. But as you talked about at the top of the show, there's no small place to have an incident around here, especially in that infield section. As we saw, there's just no margin of error through the infield.
No, as the walls become closer and closer, that really is no place to have an accident for these drivers. So it just goes to show you that they're up against the absolute limits of what they're capable of right now. And they're pushing to the absolute brink of what they could possibly do. Look at this beautiful golden hour that we're facing here in Charlotte. We'll be right back after this commercial. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and
my
to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
And here's our reverse grid for you. It'll be Ken Estep in that first row, Victor Aldrich and Cole Maxwell in that second row, third row belonging to Daniel Miglin and Nide Kume. Fourth row is going to be Corey Rutherford and Keon Maduro. But we know things are going to be switched up for the GTPs. Travis Fleming and Corey Rutherford are going to lead in that first row. Then Brian Dees and James Watson line the second at the end of the day. Damian Dania and Christopher Hill on that final row 7. But we'll go to the back of the official grid.
Yeah, with the inverts and Dania and Hill starting at the back of the Corvette C7 DP field, that is going to be fireworks to watch those two work their way through the 4 or so cars in front of them and then battle for the lead as we have a 40-minute feature race, so double the distance and double the time as we had in the sprint races. You see the traditional pulling to the side of the GT field to let the Daytona prototypes work their way to the front. As much as I am still a fan of pure chaos and putting the prototypes behind the GT cars, they do things sensibly around here.
They do things sensibly around here. That, I mean, it just makes sense, doesn't it? And it's a little simple twist to be able to add to this league and a variant that you wouldn't otherwise get without the assistance from a couple of league admins being able to clear those black flags very quickly and assist drivers get to their grid positions in the right order. So thank you very much, and shout out to all of the admins and stewards of this league supporting ASRL. And if you're watching at home, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell here on the Racers Nexus for notifications for when we go live next.
Yeah, unfortunately, our timing and scoring will not be accurate for a lap or two as iRacing gets things sorted out with the Daytona prototypes being filtered to the front. But yeah, it'd be nice to eventually have admin controls to be able to do either dedicated grid placement or be able to do per class inverts if you so choose. But for now, we got to do it the manual way of pulling to the side, letting everybody go through, and then doing the clearing of the black flags. But regardless, we still do get an invert, so we get the rapid guys at the back of each class and get to watch them work their way through traffic. And he said during the sprint race, catching somebody and passing them are two completely different things and take two completely different set of skills. And you know, somebody can be what I call a hot lapper and be very fast on their own, but then you throw them in a bunch of traffic and they kind of forget what to do. Their brain short circuits a little bit. So look for some fireworks as our drivers that were at the front of their respective classes in the sprint race work their way back to the front here in tonight's feature race.
Drivers who have qualified in this race might be good over one lap, but how good is their pace over this feature race? That's the real question that we're asking tonight, because we have 40 minutes on the clock. Well, 35 by the time the drivers get to running their green flag lap. Travis Fleming and Joshua Rutherford on that front row in front of Brian Dees and James Watson as we cut through the final chicane to get lined up for this race start here at Charlotte. It's green, 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 and everybody's under attack and under threat. And that's a big lunge from Dees in the background as he shakes and bakes his way through. Looks like a spin for Daniel Miglet in the background for the GT3 category. We'll take him out at the bridge. Oh, is that Christopher Hill?
Yeah, I think Christopher Hill got tapped by Joshua Rutherford there. That is going to be very unfortunate to see. And, as we talked about, having our fast guys at the back was going to create some issues and some challenges for the guys in front of them. And definitely didn't hesitate right from the drop of the green flag. A couple of contacts and spins for our fast guys, especially Christopher Hill, who's going to lose out big time.
And big gainer on the evening is going to be Brian Dees with big positives, but there's a big door banging of cars and GT3s, and that included Nitikume, Keon Maduro, Christopher Hill, and Corey Rutherford in the mix there. That was a bit hectic going into that chicane. Holy Toledos are definitely out tonight.
Yeah, it looks like the racing gods may have issued some judgment there to Joshua Rutherford. I believe that was who was spun sideways. Kate there having the coming together with the 101 machine and Christopher Hill at the beginning of the lap. But Hill, unfortunately, he got cycled to the front in front of the GT cars, but now he's going to have to actually drive through the GT cars as he's just recovering from that spin. He's got a little bit of damage, looks like, to that right corner of the rear wing that might hamper his handling around this 15-turn ROVAL circuit that we are at tonight as we head into the nighttime here at Charlotte. I haven't seen nighttime racing since that one-off GT race that IMSA did during the COVID pandemic in 2020. And it also was a heavy, heavy downpour. That was just a mayhem of a race up and down, no matter where you look.
It really was. It's been crazy. It's been hectic, but things are finally settling down. We're at 37 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this race. Joshua Rutherford and Nidhi Kume up ahead of Corey Rutherford by around a half second or so. As the timing tower and scoring will officially reset itself and become the way it's supposed to be looking. Corey Rutherford still in this chase. The Cavalieri Rampantes, again, right on the heels of one another.
Yeah, inverted from the sprint race. This time it's Kume leading Rutherford. The battle in front of them is raging as Keanu Maduro is trying to get his usual P1 spot back, but he's got the Mustang of Nebraska who had pace in the sprint race. He had this. He's going to have pace as well in this feature race, and the other remaining Acura, Victor Aldrich, who has been consistent and at times shown flashes of pace so far this season, and so far seems to be doing the same tonight, taking advantage of great invert and starting P2 moment. He's got that big Ronnie Mustang of Keanu Maduro letting him down as they make their way out of NASCAR turn 3 and 4 into the front stretch chicane to lap 3.
Here's Rutherford now on the inside line of Kume. That's a bit of a send and a half. Falls in single file as he couldn't find the daylight around the outside line through that chicane. It's quite tricky to make anything work through these chicanes, but you can always attack and try to give a glancing blow. And there's a Ford Mustang. No, excuse me, I believe that'll be Daniel Miglin, and that will be the end of his race. But that'll allow an opportunity for Corey Rutherford to look to the inside line here on Nidhi Kume, the Canadian, out in front right now.
No, I think when you said a Mustang, I think you had it right, because Keanu Maduro has dropped from second place down to 5th. So something has definitely happened to him, but James Watson has also picked up the meatball flag as well. Not sure what has happened to him. We'll have to go back and see if we'll find out what happened to that highlighter yellow Corvette DP of Watson and triggered the meatball flag, but...
And a big cut of that chicane.
Yeah, Rutherford had to bail out there. Not sure if he got in too deep and had to save the car from spinning there or what, but he's going to get a slowdown for his efforts.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, how does he pay the penance in that slowdown? And now, is he required by the stewards that are alive right now to give that position back, or will it be a post-penalty review, as it looks like this will be settled quickly, as it looks like Corey Rutherford is the gentleman that he is and succeeds that position to the 151 of Kume. We do have those replays ready. Let's take a look at what happened to James Watson first now. He was in 3rd place for the TWR SJ division, driving the number 39 and clatters over the curb, pirouettes the car a few times, and that will definitely be race ending for him.
Yeah, it's almost like he just lost track of where he was on the circuit. Maybe thought he was going into a different corner than he actually was, and just threw the car off there. It is very dark. I don't know if they have the traditional lights on that you would have for, say, the Coca-Cola 600, which usually runs at night. Certainly doesn't seem like it. Seems like it's going to be eliminated based on the car's headlights. I could be wrong on that, just based on what I'm seeing, but that may have played a part there. We certainly don't get to drive Charlotte in the nighttime very often in official races. At least I can't recall. There's a spin for Ninakume back there. That's going to give some breathing room to Corey Rutherford as he's going to gather that up again, but lose a position in the process to the recovering Keanu Maduro in his Mustang.
Here's a replay of what happened to Miglin, and that'll be almost identical what happened to Kume just a few moments ago, except for Miglin had a bigger spin. And now let's find out what happened to Maduro now. And it looks like he's battling with Miglin. Oh, and that will be it. No, that was Victor Aldrich, the 88, and that was a Mustang that I saw spun around.
Yeah, it looks like he might have dropped the left sides. That turn 2 there, and it kind of drops away. It's not quite a drainage channel, but a very similar effect. And, looked like he might have just put his left side wheels down into that dip in the road, and it just grabbed onto him and spun him around as he was trying to get the inside on the 88 of Victor Aldrich, and unfortunately found himself staring backwards. And, good job to the cars arriving on scene to avoid him, and well done to Maduro to hold his brakes and not try and back up and get the car going in a fit of frustration and haste, as you see too commonly in official races, unfortunately. So well done to everybody involved there. A small incident not turned into a big one, but boy, Danny on the back of a car in front of him. Where have we seen this before, right?
Time and time again, race after race, Dania continues to challenge and goes forward. He gives the pincer move to Brian Dees, parks it on the apex of the second part of the chicane, crosses the line, and he'll officially be in the lead of this one now. Beautiful lights here illuminating the racetrack. You're absolutely right. We do have some lights illuminating the racetrack, but obviously the infield is really dark right now and not illuminated. So maybe the Coca-Cola 500 lights are being the stadium lights here at the Charlotte Roval. I think those were around or came about around in 1992, if I'm not mistaken, for the first ever NASCAR night race. Just off the top of my head, I feel like I read it somewhere.
I'll take your word for it. That sounds about right. But yeah, definitely the lights are on, but only for the oval portion. And given that they didn't run the infield at night, as far as I can recall, except for that one-off for the COVID pandemic that IMSA ran in 2020, definitely don't have infield lighting the way that you would expect at a place like Daytona to host the 24 Hours of Daytona. But Dania, he's quite happy to be out front without having to worry about Christopher Hill being anywhere near him. Hill has recovered. He's currently sitting 6.8 seconds drift of Dania, though, down to P3.
Sitting back in P3 for Team Watson Racing right now. But now, can he challenge forward last lap time around? A 115.4 compared to the 115.7 of Brian D. So with recovery mode engaged, can he possibly still get P2 and do some damage limitation in the final stages of this race? Still 30 minutes on the clock, so plenty of time to hemorrhage these wounds.
Yeah, and they will have to make a pit stop, but as we've seen in races past, a very widespread of pit strategies, pit times, up and down the board in both classes. And so we'll have to see how that plays a part. I'm sure Hill is just hoping and praying he can pit soon so he can use his fast repair to get that rear wing completely fixed and not have any aero damage. Not sure if that's slowing him down. We'll have to see how his average pace has been over the last few laps compared to Dania now that he's gotten out of traffic and running in clean air. But currently about 8.5 seconds back is Hill, and I don't see that gap coming down any. So, although it's not going to matter, as he just drives right into the back of Ken Estep there, a rare blunder out of the 101 there. Not sure what he was thinking. You hate to see that for somebody like Ken Estep, who has done nothing but do his best to get out of the way of the fast guys, and he just got absolutely ran over there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's disappointing to see out of Christopher Hill there. I'm not sure if he thought that he might have had some more room there on the right side to sneak up the inside, but definitely did not have anything in the way of patience, unfortunately. So, as I said, rare mistake to see out of Hill, and unfortunately Ken Estep has a destroyed Ferrari to account for it.
Super unfortunate. I mean, just things you absolutely hate to see time and time again. I mean, just we don't see incidents like that very often. Here is Victor Aldrich going toe-to-toe and blow for blow with Corey Rutherford here in the battle for P2. Rutherford advances his stance now, and Keon Maduro, let's not forget about the man in the Mustang. He was taken out early, but he's not down and out. He's back in the 188, and he's looking fierce as ever.
Yeah, Corey had a fantastic move with Aldrich going down into the brake zone for the hairpin at turn 7, and just got up the inside and had good traction coming out of turn 8 and fired off down the back straightaway, and that's the gap that you see now. So well done to Rutherford. Maduro, he's hungry. He's looking to try and make a move here into turn 1. Sticks the nose to the outside, nothing feeling there, and he's going to have to slap back inside or risk spinning out again. The last time these two went just closely through turn 2.
And Christopher Hill officially into the pits, but will stay on with this battle right now because it's obviously brewing up to be something, as Maduro's looking a little impatient right now and is going for the move on the 88 Acura of Victor Aldrich coming in through turn 7. It'll be the 188 with the better run of things and gets around the TWR SJ Division number 88, driven by Victor Aldrich.
Yeah, Maduro's going to do it the long way around the outside there, but showing the impressive traction of that Mustang, and he's able to get inside and get the move done and completed and set his sights on the purple Ferrari of Corey Rutherford in front of him. Ty Marasco, though, he's enjoying himself to a 5-second lead. Quite a improvement from the misfortune that he had in the sprint race, so he's going to look to be managing himself and try not to make the mistake that he had done before. Hill, he's back out of the pit, so he did not come in and park it in potential punishment or anything like that. His rear wing is fixed, so he did use his fast repair, so that was just a standard pit stop for the 101 machine. First of our top runners to come to the pits for this race.
And Travis Fleming now inherits the next spot in pit lane. Number 26 will be the next driver to take that pit stop call. We're seeing pit stop times as low as 6 seconds from James Watson, 9.7 from Christopher Hill. So he obviously spent a little bit more time in the lane to get that damage repaired. Let's take a look at Travis Fleming now as he rolls out of the pits. It's a very tricky pit lane. You got to make sure you get it right. It's tight and spits you out right into the spit of fire.
Yeah, it is a very interesting pit exit. Dumps you out in between turns 2 and turn 3. But Travis Fleming doing his best Tony Hawk grind impression. Ken Estep, who had gotten the short end of the stick with that entanglement with Christopher Hill earlier, came back out on track, but has decided he's too far down, just going to park it.
And you can't blame a man for trying tonight. Keon Maduro, like you said, now challenging Corey Rutherford for P2 in the GT3 categories. Rutherford in the lead of P2 at the very least. There's a look from Maduro. Will he open the door at all? No, Rutherford keeps it shut as much as possible, and he focuses forward onto the exit, onto the high banking.
Yeah, Maduro showing the capabilities of that Mustang both in the track and with the traction out of these slow corners, and showing that he can do it all tonight. Been at the front, dropped down to the back, and worked his way back to the front. Overall leader Dania coming through in this battle at the moment. But Rutherford has had a surge of performance over the last couple of weeks, and he's continuing that tonight here at Charlotte. He's around in the championship. Rutherford had a little bit of a slow change of the defensive line, and to maybe move over and block the 188 Mustang as it was encroaching upon him on the run down to turn 1, but maintained station for the time being.
The run is looking good for Keon Maduro now. Will he challenge into 6? He wants to, but he just can't quite get there. Now the run into 6 and 7 is looking healthy for Maduro. He's definitely on the optimum line to challenge. Going into the high banking, but a slip and slide moment for Maduro, and he lights up the rear end, and that will end that battle swiftly. And now Aldrich gets by as well.
I'll tell you what, we're going to have to go back and watch a replay. I think I saw a banana peel fly out of the back of the number 5 Ferrari there. But Maduro just pushing a little bit too hard, gets on the gas a bit too early, lights up the rear wheels of that Mustang, and around she went.
Yeah, really, really crazy to see. We can get a replay of that if you'd like to see it. Let's go on board with Keon Maduro, and so seeing if we can find that banana peel here in slow motion. Let's go back up and advance this just a little bit. I don't see any banana peel. You see it?
Yeah, Rutherford. No, not yet, but Rutherford gets on the brakes early there, takes a real tight line. You'll actually see him kind of bounce over the inside curbing there, and Maduro, he went to go take the outside like he did on Victor Aldrich, and I think he's just going to get on the gas here as the wheel turned, and hard to do that in these GT3 cars and keep things going in the right direction. Yep, there's that banana peel right there. I just seen it go into the wheels there, but yeah, uncharacteristic mistake from Maduro. That's actually his second uncharacteristic mistake of the night, but still sitting in P4. Not bad points, but I'm sure he would like to be higher, and he's got just under 20 minutes to go, so we're all of a sudden halfway through this race.
It's really crazy to me that the drivers are making uncharacteristic mistakes at what some would call a simple track. Some would say it's a ROVAL. How hard can it be? But this is a miniature Daytona with more twists and turns and more walls closer than ever before. I think that's the best descriptor for this track. It's super challenging and technical. It reminds me of Indy with a Daytona infield. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, and then you throw elevation in the mix.
Yeah.
And, you've got a trifecta of a very interesting and challenging racetrack. And I guess you could chalk it up to a skill issue that I'm not a fan of it as a driver when I'm on track. But I have to say, being up here in the broadcast booth, it's been entertaining to call a race around here. It's gives a different perspective to it, especially this new layout that they've done, that they reworked over the last couple of years, which changed the 6, 7, 8 complex as our drivers are going through it right now.
Indeed, Christopher Hill running in 3rd place now, has Brian Dees 24 seconds up the road, but without a pit stop to his name. Damien Dania will be the next driver up the road from there, driving that number 98. Also, haven't taken a pit stop yet, so Christopher Hill might be able to recover into some good points. He was able to repair that rear wing, but it doesn't look like he repaired that front nose cone. Do you see anything different, Brian?
No, and he could have picked up that damage after the pit stop as well, especially with how how tall some of these curbs are. But yeah, Hill, smacking the wall there isn't going to help that nose cone either. But Hill, the only one of our top 3 that has pit so far, so that gap that you see on the interval stand is not 100% accurate, as the 2 cars in front of him, Dees and Dania, will have to make their way to pit lane sometime soon, as I suspect we are nearing the end of the pit cycle. Maduro and Kume in our GT3 class have both come down to take their stops and are good to go to the finish, which just leaves our top 3 in GT3 left to make their call down to pit road.
Yes, sir. Ty Marasco, Corey Rutherford, Victor Aldrich, all to make their pit stop calls. That'll kind of be a surprise to us where Keon Maduro will end up falling, as Ty Marasco does make that pit stop call here and now. Oh, I guess that answer will be given very quickly to see where the leader ends up coming out at the end of his pit stop cycle. He's currently running 8th overall. He drops to Corey Rutherford, and now Victor Aldrich also into the pit. So the 88 making the same pit stop call, the TWR from SJ Division, making their first and only pit stop of the night.
Yeah, Corey Rutherford stretching the mileage in his Ferrari. He's staying out at least 1 lap longer than Marasco or Aldrich, and he assumes the lead for now in GT3.
And big
Hill
shout out again.
in.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say Hill has closed in another second on D's prior to the pit stop, so that may allow him to potentially snag a second place once our top 2 in DP make their way down pit road.
But Damian Dania is still lapping in the low 115s. That 115.3 last time around, although Christopher Hill is lapping in the 115.2s, I think Dania is still in the lead of this race at the end of the day. Here comes Victor Aldrich out of pit lane right now. He was within a second to Keon Maduro, but Maduro escaped up the road just past pit lane when they were on the road exit. You can just see Maduro right there going onto the banking, and Victor Aldrich a nose behind.
Yeah, Dania running into traffic on potentially his in lap, although he may look to extend 1 more lap to try and get a fast lap on into the pits, what is traditionally called a push lap, something Michael Schumacher was always fantastic at during his days at Ferrari.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Dania now is the pit stop caller. I wanted to give a big shout out to Rooftop Ray one more time. Now it's awfully cold and a little moist out there. The humidity has risen a few percentages here at the racetrack. So Rooftop Ray, thank you very much for joining us in the Racers Nexus team and being out there minding the weather. Really appreciate you. And thank you very much for joining us here on the Racers Nexus team. I'm Sagar Bakshi. Joining me in the booth is Brian Dees. And the Track Cam's brought to you by TrackCams22.com. Now the drivers are all settled in. I think most, if not all, the pit stop calls have been taken. Now it'll be Joshua Rutherford and Corey Rutherford, the duo, coming down pit lane. Now this is Rutherford, who's currently in 5th. Now Corey, this will be very important. Where is Keon Maduro out here on the racetrack right now? Around the high banking and bottoming out right now and coming through the final chicane. So if Corey Rutherford can get a quick pit stop out, He could still be in P2. He is still in P2 by the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely nailed that pit stop there, did Corey Rutherford, as he has come out and still has about a 20-second gap over Maduro there. Have to look and see what their pit stop times were in the box, see if there was some substantial difference or if that's just a pace difference on in-laps there between the two of them. But Ty Marasco, he's still going to be your GT3 leader, but Corey Rutherford did an excellent job there to not only maintain P2 but stretch that gap.
Yeah, really good job from Rutherford. The pit stop looked good for him. A 6-second advantage in the pit lane time, or in the pit time, I should say, for Rutherford over what Maduro had to do, probably getting that damage repaired with Richter Aldrich with 18 seconds of service, and Inakume with 29.5 seconds of service.
Yeah, pretty even between Marasco and Rutherford there, but that 6-second difference of pit stop time between Rutherford and Maduro definitely showing here on the track with the gap between them at the moment. Couple that with the pace difference as well leading into the pit stops, maybe some traffic in the mix as well, and well, that's how you get a 20-second gap over your rival.
Yeah, it really is a commanding lead, and flashy of the headlights from the driver, who's a little far back, I would say, to be giving flashies of the headlights. We'll pull up the paddle box and see who that could be. That's Joshua Rutherford. Now, is that now, I'm not too familiar with the drivers. Is that just brotherly love and a little bit of distracting going on?
Yeah, I think that's just some family. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you're doing well. I'll make sure not to wreck you here. But yeah, some family razzle dazzle is always allowed.
That is fair, and for the most part, allowed, as long as it doesn't end in any tears for fears. Of course, big shout out and thanks, of course, to our sponsor, Purple Haze Motorsports. It is plastered on the side of Corey Rutherford's car. And teamwork in progress. Of course, you can't see the livery because it is in the infield section where there are no lights here at the Charlotte Roval, but they'll become illuminated once we hit the high banking there. It is a beautiful livery that we've mentioned a few times before.
Yeah, we didn't have the budget this year for the night vision goggles, but we'll work on improving that for 2027.
There it is, the Purple Haze Auto Sports Machine. Running in second place. I can't wait to talk to Corey because he was ecstatic about his race last week. I think he's going to be thrilled about the results this week. What do you think, Brian?
I definitely think so. And like I said, he's had some great momentum that he has built up over the last couple of weeks. He's been quite happy with his performance as he tries to work his way into the championship discussion for our current leader, Keanu Maduro, who has had another incident, looks like, going through turn one. Just looking back on my screen, looks like another incident of just too happy on the loud pedal.
Oh,
Oopsie daisy. Around she goes.
Oopsie poopsie indeed for Keanu Maduro, who just unfortunately keeps on having mistake after mistake tonight. It's just not his night. So the points will go the way of Rutherford, but I don't think it'll be enough for him to get in the lead of the championship. But you keep on talking about this tremendous momentum that Rutherford has had. You're absolutely right. He has had tremendous momentum over the last couple of runs in this championship. A couple of races ago, he was just having disappointing results, to say the least. I don't know if he didn't have the time to practice, if he was just facing fiercer competition, what was going on. But now that things have settled down and we're into the later half of the season, his championship results have really turned around.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, kind of up and down the season to start with through the first half. had some pace in Indianapolis, but then had some incidents that collected him, if my memory is serving me right. And you know, other times at you know, Daytona had a strong showing, but then you know, things kind of average out. But then at Barber especially, and then here tonight, he is just come on and had really good pace. And so I think as we move into some really good tracks to finish out the season, Silverstone and Sebring kind of stand out to me, that I suspect will suit Corey pretty well. We'll look to see how much he can close in on Maduro in the overall standings.
And this is going to look really good for his average finish as well. His average finish has been 3rd, average start being 4th. Like you said, his results are definitely improving. And just with this podium now in P2, just going to increase that standings in the championship. And the result that Keon Maduro is having just throws a little bit more fuel to the fire that Corey Rutherford can mix it with the best of them here at ASRL. Now, let's check in with the C7s. It'll be Dania with 7 to go, leading over Christopher Hill. Brian Dees in 3rd, Travis Fleming in 4th, Joshua Rutherford and James Watson in 6th.
Yeah, and for Dania, he'll be happy to pick up max points here in the feature race after finishing runner-up in the sprint race. And but having missed last week's round entirely, for Hill, as much of a disappointing race that he's had tonight in the feature, and I'm sure he will probably admit as such when we talk to him afterwards, he's still going to finish P2, or if things were to stay as they are right now, he would finish P2, which means he doesn't lose that many points in the championship to Dania. So overall, could be a lot worse for Hill, given the auspicious start that he had getting collected in turn 1. And then the incident that he had with Ken Estep as well. So as bad as it has looked, it could be way worse in a manner of points for Christopher Hill, who currently sits P2 and is doing a bit of damage control to Damian Dania.
And he's done a good job. Like you said, it could be a lot worse than where he sits right now. But P2 is a nice little present with 6 to go on the clock for him at the end of the night, after getting into a couple of incidences. Not just one, not just two, but a few incidences tonight for the 101. And like you said, I'm sure he's going to talk to us later and have some regrets about tonight.
Yeah, as we see, Corey Rutherford has picked up yet another slowdown. He's going to have a good talking to with these chicanes, I suspect, after this race, and ask him what he did wrong to them to make them punish him in such a way as he's going to lose about 3 seconds off the back of Ty Marasco serving that slowdown penalty there. But yeah, Corey Rutherford and the chicanes are not gelling well. They're not quite oil and water, but I think they're getting there.
Last lap around for Ty was a 121.4. Last lap around for Corey was a 120.7, but that was with that little cut in the road that he had. So cheeky for Rutherford. He'll have to give that time back on this one before he can set another good lap to try to chase down Ty, who's up in front by 5.3 seconds in front of Corey Rutherford. Can Rutherford close down a gap with just 4 to go? It's not looking so, unfortunately, for Rutherford.
Yeah, and credit to Marasco, who was having a solid result in the sprint race before that self-inflicted mistake in the subsequent disqualification, as he was trying to get his car turned around. And he's worked his way to the lead of this race and held it and managed things well from his end, and let everybody else behind him make the mistakes for a change. And he's sitting on a 4-second lead at the moment, but Corey Rutherford, he's eaten into that time. As you said, is 4 minutes going to be enough time for that to dissipate between the two of them? I don't know, but we will find out.
Yeah, I don't know what has overcome Corey Rutherford, but all of a sudden, he's just got this pace beneath him. 127 last time around compared to the 121.5 from Ty out in front. Tire fade could definitely be a thing, but it's definitely coming down and going Rutherford's way lap after lap. And I think Mr. Rutherford can smell a little bit of blood in the water as he gets a glimpse of the Ford Mustang up the road.
Yeah, I know for me as a driver, once you close within to where you have visual contact with that car, it just activates something else. It's like, I can see you now. And then you start seeing, okay, before it was just a glimpse, and now I'm seeing it for a little bit longer. So you don't have to look at your interval on your dash. Things are closing in. You can see it, and that just kicks driving up here. And so I think that's what we're seeing out of Corey Rutherford at the moment, as he takes another 8/10 of a second out on lap 27 there from Marasco, and that gap is down under 3.5 seconds. So this is one to watch as we close in with 2 minutes 45 to go. With the pace of the Daytona prototypes, I want to say that'll be 2, maybe 3 laps to go, as our overall leaders coming on to NASCAR 1 at the moment. So I think we'll have, we'll see. I think we'll have 2 laps to go at the line.
If we only get 2 laps left to go, I don't think it will be enough time for Rutherford to close down, as the gap escapes up to 4.3 seconds. It just doesn't look like there's enough time left for Corey Rutherford to get the job done on Ty. Had he just maybe had things go a little bit better his way at the start of the race, as Dania is just using all the track, even touching a little bit of grass, as the kids say. And Keon Maduro into the pits in the final stages of the race. Has he run out of fuel as he comes down the road for a second pit stop, or is that a penalty? I'm not seeing a stop go. That has to be for fuel.
Yeah, or he may have said that he's not gaining on Kume after that last spin that he had, and he may just be calling it a night with 1:20 left to go. So,
there was another crash. Here at the infield, and then that's what ended his race.
That will end it. That'll do it. That's a solid smack into the wall with that left rear. Easily broken suspension there. So, yep, unfortunate end to the night for Maduro. He's going to look to forget this one as soon as possible. But for Damian Dania, though, he's not going to forget this one. He lost out by narrow margins in the sprint race, but he has come back in dominant fashion so far in the feature races. He's going to take the white flag with 40 seconds to go across the line. One more time to go for Dania to lock this one away.
Yes, indeed. 30 seconds remaining on the clock, and this will be the official white flag lap from Barney the Flag Man. We have rooftop Ray to thank for the wonderful sights that we've seen from the rooftop here in Charlotte. But now Dania takes us away with his onboard camera for the entire finale lap. Brian Zinn, what's your big takeaway on the evening about how the drivers have fared here in the feature race?
I think it's a case of what if for Corey Rutherford. He had 2 or 3 slowdown penalties from cutting the chicane, and if you figure those were 1.5 to 2 seconds each time lost to clear him, and he's going to potentially finish less than 3 seconds back from Ty Marasco, he's got to sit there and say, man, if I didn't rack up those off tracks and those slowdowns, I could have won this thing. So I think it's a case of what if. That's my takeaway from this feature race tonight.
You're definitely not wrong, Brian Zinn, that's for sure. The time was definitely there in the lap times for Corey Rutherford, but right now it's all up to Damian Dania, who takes the checkered flag right now for the C7 Daytona prototypes tonight here at the Charlotte Roval. Christopher Hill will cross the line in P2 next. Behind will be Brian Dees on that podium.
Yeah, Dania just took the lead and ran away with it and let everybody else make mistakes behind him, as Hill's going to finish 19 seconds back, but it is still P2. So from a points perspective, damage has been mitigated if you're Christopher Hill. And Ty Marasco, after making that mistake in the sprint race, he's going to come away with a feature race win tonight. Well done to the #1 Mustang driver and Corey Rutherford. He's going to finished 2 seconds officially at the line, so definitely going to be kicking himself, picking up those slowdown penalties.
P2 for Rutherford, P3 for Aldrich at the end of the day. Absolutely phenomenal stuff here. Let's see if anybody's doing any donuts for us. Let's see if Ty Marasco is going to do some with Corey Rutherford here on the banking, or has he run out of fuel and Corey Rutherford has to limp him back home? Sportsmanship, if I've ever seen it, that's for sure. A little bit of bumping and running at the final moments of the race. Ty Marasco getting a nice push back to pit lane from a brother from a different mother. That'll be Corey Rutherford helping him get back home.
Yeah, from one Italian horse to the American horse.
Waiting for the session to finally complete, and let's get the results posted here for the C7 Daytonas. It'll be official. Damien Dania, Christopher Hill, Brian Dees, and Travis Fleming, Joshua Rutherford, and James Watson. For the GT3s, Brian, take us away.
Yeah, Ty Marasco is going to be your race winner tonight, followed by Corey Rutherford and Victor Aldrich rounding out the podium in his Acura machine. And then it's going to be Nidikume in his Ferrari, followed by Keanu Maduro, Ken Estep, Daniel Miglin, and Cole Maxwell.
Awesome stuff here tonight. Brought to you by the American Sim Racing League, folks. Amazing stuff. Let's see who we've got ready to come in for the driver's interview tonight. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, but Corey Rutherford, Damien Dania, and Ty Marasco are all here ready to mingle first. Who do you want to talk to first, Brian?
Let's get our overall race winner, Damien Dania.
Let's talk to Dania first. And Dania, having a great result tonight was paramount for you after you missed last week. This week didn't quite go the way you wanted in Heat 1, but Heat 2, the feature race, definitely went your way. Talk to us about your race tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of a little bit torn on what to say because this is probably my least favorite track on iRacing. So even in the race I won, I didn't really enjoy it. But yeah, I kind of just in the first race I just thought, okay, I haven't practiced enough. I'm not ready here. I'm just gonna try to hang back. I gave a few shots early on in the race, but it didn't really work. Second race, even with the spin, I don't know what it is. I just found a lot of pace at night. Usually I'm a bit faster at night than during the day. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of words. Hopefully not too long a sentence.
No, it was perfectly put, Dania. Thank you so much. Now, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or anybody you'd like to thank on the evening tonight?
Yeah. Let's see. Of course, shout out to my mom, shout out to my dad, shout out to Schimmel. I know he's having some issues with mold in his room right now, so he couldn't join us in the race. And yeah, besides that, I hope I never have to race this track again. So shout out to hopefully everyone who doesn't force me to race on this track again.
Right on, Dania. Thank you so much for joining us in the Racers Nexus broadcast booth. Have a great night and stay safe.
Yep.
Ryan, why don't you talk to Ty Marasco, the winner from the GT3 category?
Yeah, Ty Marasco here with us in the booth. His best result since Mexico City. Ty, walk us through what your game plan was recovering after that spin you had in the DQ in the sprint race.
Really just focus on hitting my marks. You know, when you got that, or when you're the rabbit and you got that carrot in front of you, and I just, 2 to go in the first race, I just try to push it too hard in the turn one. I think it was like 5 mile an hour faster than what I normally did. And yeah, I just lost it. But, just focus on that in the second race, knowing I'll be up front, and got through the little melee. I thought we were all going to wreck in the first corner, but we got through it. And then once I got in the lead, and I saw Keone, he had some issues in the second race. So, and then I just focused on hitting my marks and keeping it clean.
Yeah, definitely. And for Corey Rutherford, he had some issues as well, and um, we were wondering how you were managing the threat from behind. But as we look forward to Silverstone next week, it's the Legacy layout. What's your experience been at that track, and what are you looking forward to with it?
Well, fair to say, I'm a heavily oval guy normally, so I've never been to Silverstone, let alone the Legacy tracks. So we're gonna figure it out. Get some practice in there next week. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. Had fun tonight. Obviously, in the last race, just managing the gap. Definitely, that's what I was doing, just managing gap, and knew I could have turned it up, but there was really no reason to, and just it was good to come out here and have that run at the end.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go for the night, any folks you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to shout out one of the Purple Haze for putting on this painful broadcasts and the races and stuff, and you guys do a great job, and sure to be looking back at it. Glad to get a run and win at the ROVAL. I love this track. I love the old layout more, but I love this track, and glad to come out and recover from the first race.
Awesome. Well, congrats on your feature race win tonight, and best of luck next week at Silverstone.
All right, thank you.
And last but not least, our fearless leader and commandant, Corey Rutherford for Team Work in Progress. How are you feeling tonight, Corey?
I'm doing pretty good. That was a fun race.
I bet, and you must be feeling pretty good about your results tonight, back to back. I mean, Keon Maduro not getting the results that he wanted advances you pretty steeply in the championship. Have you thought about that just yet?
Yeah, not too worried about the overall championship. I think he's kind of a lock for that unless he stops showing up, which I doubt that will happen. But as a whole, still a good night. Got the 0x bonus, so that's actually is some bonus points on him. So that will be
Very
nice.
nice.
And main thing I'm thinking about is the team championship and trying to make sure we stay ahead of Watson racing if at all possible.
Absolutely. It's looking good for you in the Work in Progress organization right now. Any highlights from the race or favorite moments or battles that you had? You were battling with Kume, Maduro. Even Ty at one point. Do you have a favorite moment from tonight or a highlight?
Not in particular. It's fun racing with these guys, and Keon, Nite, all of them. They're very clean, but they run you aggressively, and that's what I like to see in the league's drivers. That's what I like racing against. Clean running, but aggressive running. In this case, I'm the one that made the least amount of mistakes. Go figure. So, but overall, yeah, it was a fun night. I've been thoroughly enjoying the season.
Absolutely. And a good, healthy run for the last half of the season as your results seemingly are improving race after race. It's looking good. Anybody you want to shout out or anybody you'd like to thank, Corey, before we let you go?
Well, always got to thank you guys in the booth for broadcasting us every week. Big thanks to Purple Haze Autosport for continuing to support and sponsor the league. It's been a big help. And then, of course, always got to give a shout out to my family, my dad, my mom, my two brothers, and all their continued support in this hobby of mine.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us in the Racers Nexus broadcast booth, Corey Rutherford. We'll talk to you next week, we hope.
Yep. Take care, fellas.
Take care. As we were just saying, big shout out and thanks to Apex Sim Racing, our sponsor for tonight. Big shout out and thanks. If you're interested in anything from Apex Sim Racing, check out the description below for a referral code. There you have everything from handbrakes and wheelbase accessories to bundles and sim rigs available at your fingertips to order online here in the United States. Check out apexsimracing.com for any racing accessories that you might need. Brian Zen, as we close things out, any final words?
Yeah, excellent racing tonight at a track that is pretty divisive on the service, whether you love it or hate it. So well done to everybody tonight, and look forward to jumping across the pond to the classic layout of Silverstone, the legacy layout, and see how our drivers fare on a proper road course. So coming down to the last few weeks of the championship, the battles are heating up, and we'll definitely see that action out on track next week at Silverstone.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us for week 7 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've been Sagar Bakshi. Joining me in the booth has been Brian Zinn. This has been a Racers Nexus broadcast live, hosted for the American Sim Racing League. If you'd like your league broadcast, please contact to discuss availability at the Racers Nexus Broadcasting. Track cameras have been brought to you by TrackCams22.com. Really appreciate all of your love and support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell. But for now, we're going to close things out here at the Racers Nexus broadcast booth live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Have a great night. And as always, stay safe.